Now, when you think of Debbi Morgan, you think of those beautiful dimples, right? I just love her smile. Her dimples are so enviable. And I also think of a woman who just doesn't age. I think of my favorite work from her, like Eve's Bayou. She's also been for this newer generation on Power, and I'm telling you, she has looked good all her life. We're going to talk about that too. But a couple things that I didn't know about Debbi Morgan was definitely her childhood trauma that she grew up in. If you know anything about Debbi Morgan, is that she is a very private person. She don't really speak on her life. And the one time that she spoke on her life was when she wrote her autobiography, which is titled The Monkey on My Back. And she speaks on breaking the generational cycle of trauma that she's endured, her grandparents, her mother, and, you know, herself and stuff. And it tugged at my heartstrings. And the book is very enlightening, even the perspective of the child going through a chaotic home in that nature, right? And you would have never thought that this woman, this gorgeous beauty, was enduring such trauma. We are going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the beautiful works she has put out, her accolades, breaking barriers, and being a beacon of hope for a lot of women of color. And we're also going to talk about projects that she's doing now. Also, a little scandal, just a little bit with her relationships. First, before we get into all of that, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Crane Allude, where we deep dive and break down the most iconic stars through history. If you're not yet subscribed, please be sure to do so. And if you're already subscribed, please turn on your notifications so you never miss an upload. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video. I know my uploads have been a little spotty lately. You guys have noticed on my Jessica Simpson video that I was battling a flu. It was really bad, but I'm getting a lot better now. I still have some residual, but it's getting better. So there are times I may sound a little stuffy, and the only thing that's been keeping me sane is working on these videos for you guys, because when you're sick, you know, you're bedridden and you're not out there in these streets like you want to be. This is keeping me alive, okay? So in advance, I apologize for the quality of my voice, okay? And thank you so much for your prayers and kind wishes in my last video. Now let's jump into Debbi Morgan's childhood, okay? She was born on September 28th, 1956 in the humble town of Dune, North Carolina. Morgan was the firstborn child of Laura, a dedicated teacher, and George Morgan Jr., a hardworking butcher, and she has a little younger sister named Terry. The Morgan family packed up their Southern lives and headed to the bustling Bronx while Morgan was still a young girl. In an intimate chat with People in 1997, Morgan peeled back the layers on her childhood. Her father, she revealed, was trapped in the clutches of alcoholism, his abusive tendencies casting a dark shadow over their home. Though he never laid a hand on his daughters, Morgan remembered her mother fleeing from him often. He passed away in 1975 due to leukemia. Morgan's journey continued as she graduated from Aquinas High School. To the world, Debbi Morgan appeared to have a picture-perfect life. However, beneath the surface, she was grappling with a haunting family secret. In her memoir, The Monkey on My Back, she openly discusses a vicious cycle of DV that ran rampant through her family for generations. She recounts, and I quote, "There were 9 siblings. 4 of the 5 sisters married abusive men, and all the brothers turned out to be abusive husbands except for one. The vicious cycle of abuse led to fear, insecurity, self-doubt, and emotional trauma being passed down like a grim family heirloom. This cycle started with her maternal grandmother, who endured beatings from her husband during the harsh times of the Great Depression. It continued with Morgan's mother, who became a teen mom and suffered the same fate as her mother. What's sad about this, she did an Oprah interview also, which was very interesting when she first came out with the book, you know, a promotional interview. And she gave a story of how her first love, this boy named Butch, all right, and how he just punched her in the stomach, and her dad was with her, but I don't recall her at all in the interview not once mentioned how her dad reprimanded that boy for doing that. You know, that was kind of what stuck out to me, like, okay, well, what did your dad do? Nope, she just ran after the boy. Let me show y'all the story.
When I was a little girl, my first love of my life was this little boy named Butch, who I just adored. And one day my father walked me to nursery school. We get to the nursery school and I hear somebody saying, "Debbi, Debbi," and I'm like, "Daddy, Daddy, here comes Butch." I'm running towards Butch and he's running towards me. He gets up to me and he goes, pow, and punches me in the stomach. I go chasing after him. Butch, wait for me. So even though he had hit me, I looked at him as my protector. And anybody that I thought was going to be my protector and keep me safe, that's what I was drawn to.
So you guys see that oftentimes, even as little children, there's things that you can find okay just based on what you endured at home or you're enduring at home, even though her father wasn't physically harming her or her sister, witnessing it as the norm, you know? And Oprah said something so beautiful in that interview, which I agree with. She stated that a lot of times parents, like whether it's the dad or the mom, because there are men that lose their lives from being in these type of relationships and marriages also, where the woman is the aggressor too, right? It's less likely, but it does happen, right? And so in these instances, the victim is always looking at it from their perspective of just, hey, as long as he's just hitting me or she's just hitting me and not the children, then I'm fine. You know, as long as my kids are safe. But they're not taking into account the trauma that is happening to the child just witnessing it. And oftentimes the victim is just thinking of what I have to do to get out of here. Like Debbie said, her mother told her, you know, all I was thinking about was how am I going to get out of this situation? Not really thinking about, you know, the impact it's having every day for the child to witness this trauma also. So this is a very great perspective from her book. If you're, you know, not easily triggered and is interested, I would recommend you guys, you know, go check out that book, support it. It gives a very good perspective on just how it impacts a child, even if they're not necessarily getting the beatings. You know, viewing it is very similar. Writing her book was a decade-long process. She said, and I quote, "I was still going through the upheavals in life. The book was therapeutic because I was able to sort of have an out-of-body experience and stand on the outside looking in. I was able to take that journey," end quote. This cycle of abuse deeply affected Morgan, instilling a fear that had haunted 3 generations of women. She highlighted a lack of attention paid to children growing up in homes of DV. And she said, "Our parents are our first role models. We emulate what we see," she explained. Morgan's book reveals all the terrifying details of her youth, including bullying and her troubled marriages. "My life for decades was living with fear," confessed Morgan. "Most of the choices I made in life were made from fear."
Fear was the first emotion I remember being cognizant of. It had its way with me. Fear was the monkey on my back, which started with my grandmother, my mother, and then ultimately with myself. There were times the emotional abuse was so bad that at times I felt I didn't know if it would be better to be hit. I remember one night my father had come home, it was a weekend, and he was drunk as usual. And my father went to the stove, grabbed a big pot of spaghetti, threw it at my mother's head. My mother ducked, and he grabbed her by her hair and threw her into the refrigerator, and it was a horrible night. So many times these men that I was looking to for protection, they were the ones I really needed protection from.
She added, and I quote, "When I finally got to the point of getting through the book and going through all of the therapy, I got to the point I was able to stand up for myself. But yes, I have certainly gotten through the cycle," end quote. Now, in terms of her career, Debbi Morgan has graced our screens in a myriad of roles, but she is perhaps best known for her role as Angie Baxter Hubbard on the popular ABC soap opera All My Children. Not only did she steal our hearts in this role, but she also made history by becoming the first African-American woman to snag the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series in 1989. But that's not all. Fans of supernatural drama might recognize her as the seer from the 4th and 5th seasons of Charmed. On the silver screen, her performance as Moselle Baptiste Delacroix in Eve's Bayou was met with standing ovation and earned her the Independent Spirit Award for Best Supporting Female. After bidding goodbye to All My Children, Debbi joined the cast of the NBC soap opera Generations, taking on the role of Chantal Marshall. When the show ended, she didn't skip a beat, reprising her role as Angie Hubbard on ABC's Loving in 1993. And a fascinating twist twist, she brought the same character to the city in 1995, making her one of the few actors to play the same character in 3 different soap operas. From 1997 to 1998, she played the role of Dr. Ellen on Port Charles. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Debbi became a symbol of hope and success for Black women, as all her soap opera roles saw her playing a successful doctor. More recently, she has been seen as Estelle Green in the crime drama series Power, and its spin-off Power Book 2, Ghost. She also co-starred in the Fox drama series Our Kind of People. In 2017, Debbi appeared in the Marvel miniseries The Defenders, playing Dolores. The following year, she had a recurring role in the BET drama series The Quad. In 2019, she appeared in the Netflix film Sextuplets alongside funny man Marlon Wayans. She also starred with Kelly Rowland in the Lifetime movie Merry Little Christmas and its sequels. In 2021, she was cast in the Lee Daniels primetime soap opera Our Kind of People opposite Yaya DaCosta. And in 2023, she portrayed Keisha Cole's mother in the Lifetime biopic Keisha Cole, This Is My Story. Comment below your favorite Debbi Morgan moment, okay? For me, it will always be Eve's Bayou. I mean, she was just phenomenal, okay? And that was just that. I loved it. The dialogue, every time she spoke, it was like poetry, right? Jasmine Blue from TV Fanatic wrote about her performance, saying, Debbi Morgan, though, has always been a force, a legend who deserves every last bit of her flowers right here and now. To say she stole this film would be the understatement of the century. She was magnificent. She did such a remarkable job. There were moments it literally gave me chills. Leave some flower emojis in the comment sections for her, okay? Give her flowers. Following this, Debbi was cast in the drama film Divorce in the Black, written and directed by the renowned Tyler Perry. Now, in terms of our relationships, Debbi Morgan, our beloved actress, has certainly had her fair share of love stories over the years. Her romantic journey began in the 1980s when she first said I do to Charles Weldon. However, the marriage didn't quite hit the mark, and by 1984, they decided to part ways. Fast forward to 1989, and Debbi is walking down the aisle once again, this time with actor Charles Dutton. It seemed like a match made in Hollywood heaven, but by 1994, the duo decided to call it quits, and there was rumors that Angela Bassett was originally dating him, and he ended up, stepping out on Angela Bassett with Debbi. That was that, so, But Debbi Morgan did say that the reason why she got with Charles was more so as a protective thing, like as a child who endured witnessing so much deviant stuff. There was a need to have people be her protector and stuff, and because he's been in prison before, and stuff like that, she was attracted to his bad boy nature, okay? But she said this relationship got her to her knees, okay? She just couldn't, it was a rock bottom for her that made her, was like, okay, I can't keep doing this and being on this cycle.
After I had been seeing him just for a short while and learned that he had spent all of this time in prison and the kind of life that he had led, and it might sound crazy, but there was something that was sort of seductive to me about that. I'm just gonna have this man that I don't have to worry about. Man's man. I'm not gonna have to worry about anything.
Yeah, so he was not physically abusive?
No, he was not physically, not at all.
Not one to give up on love, Debbi found herself smitten once more in 1997. This time it was Don Thompson, a renowned photographer who stole her heart. They exchanged vows and began their life together, sharing smiles, laughters, and memories. But as fate would have it, their marriage also ended in 2000. Love, however, had one more chapter for Debbi. In June 2009, she met Jeffrey Winston, and it was a match that finally stuck. They've been happily married ever since, proving that sometimes the fourth time really is the charm.
And I'm in a marriage now that I'm very, very happy in. We're getting ready to celebrate our 6th wedding anniversary. Long time for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that the longest you've ever been married?
That's the longest I've ever been married. I just feel so free in this relationship.
Throughout all these years in relationships, Debbi chose not to have any children, but with a career as successful as hers and a love story that finally found its happy ending, who's to say what the perfect family looks like, right? She's very happy. Now, I'll wrap this up with a beautiful bow and talk about just how beautiful she has been aging, right? She still looks the same and is so full of energy. She has the most gorgeous dimples, as we stated, and big doe-like eyes. She has always been beautiful and will be beautiful for the rest of her life, okay? I could not find any interviews where she speaks on her beauty routines or secrets, and I would love for her to one day get into it, because We want to know. And you know how in these videos, I usually do a beauty secret segment and routine and stuff like that. And I hate when the most beautiful of them all, the ones that are actually aging flawlessly, no surgeries or anything like that, they are the ones that don't have their beauty secrets out there for us to know. They're the ones who don't speak about it, right? It's so sad. Like, we really want to know. I do know based on her Instagram that she does Pilates a lot and loves a good detox and facial. She also seems to always be smiling and surrounded by fun people. Maybe that's the secret also. But either way, we want to know. Leave some flowers in the comments for our Shiro, okay? And maybe one day she'll do an interview telling us just what her secret is. And she is always booked and busy, continued working, stays out the way, minds her business. And we just love to see that. That's the kind of energy that we love. You know, staying scandal free, out of the spotlight, you know, just not in nobody's business or anything like that. We love that, right? But comment below your thoughts again and leave some flowers in the comment section. Comment below who else would you guys like for me to do a breakdown for. And if you like the music you're listening to, the link is in the description. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.